Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Matt Gonsalves, the VP of Technical Staffing at Insight Global in Atlanta. Good afternoon, Matt. How you doing?
I'm great, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for joining us today. It's good to have a fellow techie on, and by little known fact, my son's name is Matt, so I'm kind of partial to that name.
He was probably born in the '80s because we were every other kid in the '80s was named Matt. I never had a class where I was the only Matt. There's about 4 people on my floor that are named Matt. It was a popular name. It faded out though. I have 3 kids and there's no Matts. I never meet any Matts with any of their friends.
And I have 2, my son and a nephew named Matt, and my son was born in '89. So you're right.
Yeah.
He was born in the '80s.
Very, very popular name in the '80s.
I don't know what happened in the '90s, right? So
I don't know what happened in the '90s. Now everyone's named Jack because I have a Jack and he's always the 3rd or 4th Jack in his class. So,
well, I'll find that out soon when I have grandkids. So
yeah,
that's the next stage for me. So to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
yeah. So I've actually worked at Insight Global for 15 years. It's the only place I've ever worked. I started here straight out of college. I went to Auburn University, War Eagle, but started as an entry-level recruiter. That's one of the unique things about our organization still today, 20 years in. Everyone that starts in our organization starts off in an entry-level role. Even our CEO right now, Bert Bean, he started as a recruiter straight out of college. He also went to Auburn. And we worked our ways up. So I've been a recruiter. I was a salesperson. I was an office manager, worked my way up to be a director and a regional manager. And then for the last 2.5 years, I've been one of our vice presidents.
Wow, that's very impressive. And I have to ask you, since you're in Georgia, you're in Atlanta, isn't there a little rivalry there with the Georgia Bulldogs?
It is, and it leads to some very fun and spirited falls.
Mm-hmm.
Athens is only an hour away from Atlanta. Auburn's 2 hours away, so you do have a mix, but it is heavier, the Georgia fans. So you do have to develop a skin, a callus to be able to deal with all of them.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I've been here for the last 15 plus years. And what we do is we do staffing. So we help companies and we help people match up. We find them jobs. We help them when they need it most, which when you really think about life and when you think about what's important, one of the most stressful things you can deal with is finding a job. Mm-hmm. Or if you're a manager or a leader, finding the right fit, right? And so we take a lot of pride and put a lot of care into matching those 2 people together and really treating our customers and our consultants with the utmost care, just like they were one of us, right? Those 3 groups, us, our internal employees, our customers, and our consultants, those are the 3 most important things to us, hands down. And we're going to do anything we can to take care of them, whether it be to get them the best job, to get them the best candidate, or to really work outside of those 2 things and take care of them in other ways. And that's been so true, especially over the last year.
Yeah. And which brings up the obvious question, that had to have an effect on both you and your consultants and your customers, COVID, what it did to the whole workforce, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've experienced a lot over the last year. I mean, I think, as I think about it, so many lessons learned. We're so much better for what happened, but I think the first thing that we all, at least internally, we really had to deal with, and then we had to deal with our customers and consultants, was everyone just leaving offices. We are a very face-to-face business for everyone, our customers and our consultants, and internally, a big part of our culture was just being together all the time. So we had to learn how to work remote. We had to learn how to sell remote. We had to learn how to screen people remotely. We had to learn how to onboard them and get them integrated into teams where they've never met anyone before. The other thing that we really had to deal with that we took so seriously was a lot of the industries we work with had to let a lot of people go. I mean, if you are in the travel industry, if you're in the hospitality industry, there was other industries. We had a lot of people that no longer had work to do. And so one of the main things that we really focused on last year was making sure we got anyone who found themselves no longer with a job, get them replaced, be the light for those people, and really work hard to get them put on new jobs, new contracts. So that was one of the things we really had to work to fine tune in the beginning of the pandemic.
Mhm.
But it's really led to a situation where we're so much more efficient now, and we're ahead of it when people are finishing up projects to get them reassigned to other projects and not being so reactive.
So there is a silver lining, but I understand because especially when COVID first hit, so many companies were afraid to do anything. And as you know, when companies do layoffs, they generally lay off contractors before they lay off their actual employees. Correct?
Yeah, and that affected us a lot because we had, we have the responsibility of employing over 25,000 consultants a week, and we had a lot of those people impacted by that. And yes, there was a lot of people doing either layoffs or were worrying about things. We were really lucky as an internal company that we did not lay off a single person last year. We made that decision really early on in the pandemic that was not what we wanted to be known for. We didn't want to give that unease to our people. And regardless of what that meant financially, we were going to make that decision for them. Now, we can't make those decisions for our customers, and not everyone was in that position.
Mhm.
And so we were just going to work as hard as we humanly could to find them other positions. And, one of the things that I think everyone's seen is, there was just a giant seismic shift not in the kind of workers needed, but the kind of work being done,
Mhm.
right? Healthcare, everything that needed to be done there with the pharmacy companies working on a vaccine, within the logistics, the tracking, the software. There was just an opportunity to take maybe some people displaced from what they were doing before and put them on some really, really important work that could help everyone get back to work. And so we were able to really capitalize on that as well.
Well, that's actually quite commendable. And actually, you're right. A lot of things happened, like telehealth all of a sudden became a really hot thing.
Yes.
And security concerns, your employees actually had two security concerns. They had, if they were coming into your office now, they had to VPN from home
Yep.
and also to their customers, right? So they had a double security concern.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is on top of everyone's mind right now, right? I think cybersecurity is one of the biggest fears because it's just kind of exists in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
And it's changing on a daily basis. So we're also seeing a big uptick in that. People are investing. People went from having cybersecurity departments with 1 to 5 people, and now it's like, wow, that might be one of the most important departments you can have at a company,
Yeah.
because it will save you so much money in the long run if you can make sure you don't get hit by, a cyber hacker or cyber pirate, whatever you want to call them.
Right. Yeah, no, actually, right now, one of the most in-demand jobs is what's called a CISO, Chief
Yep.
Information Security Officer. They just can't find enough of them.
No, because they didn't extend it. It's that's the beautiful thing about technology is it changes so quickly, but CISOs weren't even a thing 5 years ago,
Right.
right? It was just like, well, we have firewall, the network guys will take care of that. But it is so much more complex than that now. And it feeds into every part of your business. And so it was something that didn't exist 5 years ago. And now people need CISOs all over the place and they don't exist. And so now you're having to rush to upskill people and people to get that experience and the training necessary so that they can lead and work in those departments.
Yeah, actually, 5 years ago, it was a something on someone's plate, but there
Yeah.
wasn't, right. And it's
1,000%.
generally the head of networking or that type of position, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but now, yeah, now it's like, and CISOs have a lot of power in a company, and
Yes.
rightfully so, because the lawsuits are legit.
Yep. It is yeah, it's one of the hottest topics in IT right now.
Yes, it is. So going forward, because Georgia's a little bit more open. California's even starting to open up. So I think eventually we're going to come out of this, and people are going to have the choice between 9 to 5 or remote or hybrid. And how do you think that's going to work with Insight Global?
Yeah, I think we have a couple different populations, and I think what we learned over the last year is there is some beauty in flexibility. I think we learned that our people can get their job done remotely, But I think we've also learned that our people do really like seeing each other, and they do like the in-person collaborative part of it.
Mhm.
And so I think it's going to be a hybrid. I think we're always going to be kind of a in-person first company, but I think what now exists is this freedom of flexibility, freedom of choice, especially as we've grown over the years. We have so many working parents at this company. We have so many people with different situations, with thousands of employees, and everyone needs something a little bit different. And so I think we're going to be able to take that experience of having learned that and apply it. But I also think our people are dying to get back into offices. And so I think it's going to take a while to figure that out.
Mhm.
I think certain places will be able to go back sooner.
Mhm.
But I think it'll be a mix. And so I think for us, we have to really learn how do you have a meeting when you have 5 people there, 3 people at home? How do you make all that work? Well, we just haven't had to experience that yet, so we'll figure it out.
Right.
But I think that's the beautiful thing, is that now we're kind of in a place where we can totally do that. Everyone is so tech savvy. Everyone completely understands how to collaborate and work virtually. So I think internally that's going to be a big thing. And then I think with our consultants, and I think in the staffing market, I think a large majority of people are going to really, especially in the technology world, embrace virtual work more than ever before. I think what they have seen is, especially if you're talking about a technical position, it is really well done, can be done really well virtually. And so I think you have access to a greater talent pool. I think people have noticed that. You're able to flex different things. And so I think from an industry standard, and from, people that are the developers and network administrators, I think we'll see more of that work stay virtual and remote moving forward.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. And it's funny because I know a lot of people that have told me, hey, since COVID, I got back 2 hours a day because I'm not sitting in a car, right, or on a train, right. And I think a lot of people really like that.
I agree. I think there's a fine line there, right?
Mhm.
Like I was remote at home for 6 or 7 months. And there was some beautiful, wonderful things about it, but I did find I missed my 20-minute commute every day,
Mhm.
because that was kind of the time that I listened to books on tape, or I kind of unwound, or I just was with my thoughts, or I shifted from work Matt to dad and husband Matt.
Mhm.
And so for me, when I eventually got to experience that again, I was like, oh wow, I really missed this.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one wants to sit in the car that long, but like I actually was using that time for something I forgot about. And so I think there are the people that miss that too, right? It
Yeah.
can be exhausting to go from your bed to your desk when they're next to each other,
Mhm.
and like you're in that same thing every day. So I think people in general have learned to kind of balance that, but I think people want options, and I think that's really what this has all done, is given people options. I think you're going to be able to kind of pick your choice of what you would like to do
Mhm.
in the future, and both will exist.
Yes, I agree. And I have to. You have a 20-minute commute in Atlanta. That is unheard of.
Well, it wasn't 20 minutes before all this, but
Oh, okay.
I did not care for my commute pre-pandemic, but
Yes.
post-pandemic, it's been 20 minutes each way. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll probably sing a different tune one day when it goes back.
Yes, I understand. Well, Matt, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been great talking to you. I think Insight Global sounds like a great place to work. And I wish you guys a great 2021.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mark. Again, Insight Global, if anyone is looking to hire talent right now, please go to our website, www.insightglobal.com. It will give you such a great picture into who we are, what kind of company we are, what we stand for. But Mark, thank you for the time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.